Hi, this is Ms. Hottie from Olympian High School, and I'm here to share a little more about Chapter 18 for Mr. Hammond's students and for my students. We are on page 467 of the Traditions and Encounters textbook. We're on slide 13 if you're looking at the slides. So what I really want you guys to know is that Chinggis Khan and Genghis Khan are the same person. It's just that the historiography has changed, which is the way that we write about history. And so when I was growing up, we called him Genghis Khan. Your parents probably heard of him as Genghis Khan, and now we call him Chinggis Khan. And this part of the video lecture is going to focus just on Genghis Khan. We're not going to talk about what happens after he dies, and we're going to make sure that we understand that when in the book or in the lecture it's talking about he invaded China, he invaded northern China, which was at the time controlled by the Jurchen. Because if you remember from your East Asia chapter 15, I believe it was, we talked about how the Song dynasty had a very weak military and it got attacked. We talked about the attacks by the different groups of people like the Khitan and then the Jurchen who built the Jin Empire, and then they moved the capital south. And so there was the Southern Song, which was actually Chinese, and then you have the Jurchen in the north. So anyway, let's get started. Let's start with Genghis Khan, Chinggis Khan, first uniting his own people of the Central Asian steppes using certain tactics like steppe diplomacy, and then from there attacking Central Asian people to protect himself from any other challenges to his attack, and then attacking these big fish, these really powerful forces like attacking into China and attacking into Persia. So Chinggis Khan, his actual name is Temujin. His title is Chinggis Khan or Genghis Khan. He's the universal ruler. Khan means ruler. So born in 1167 to a noble family, his father was poisoned by a family. He lived a very difficult childhood. There's a movie made about this, by the way, which if your parents allow, you can watch. So you can read about his background. Anyway, as he gets older, he becomes a master of what we call steppe diplomacy. And I want you to write this word down in your notes. Steppe diplomacy is where you show personal displays of courage in battle, and you also are very good at making alliances, which are important political friendships to try to strengthen yourself and consolidate power. You can read more about it, sometimes involving betraying people that thought that you were loyal to them to improve your position. So you can read about him bringing all the Mongol tribes. And by the way, it's very tribal there because the landscape is so harsh. You need to be really dependent on your tribe, your family, your kinsmen to protect you from the elements. So it's super tribal. And Central Asian traditions, they share that in common with other steppe peoples, like the Turkish groups. They have this very strong family clan loyalty. So he is bringing all the Mongol tribes into one single confederation, and he's eventually chosen as the universal ruler by an assembly in 1206, called the Chinggis Khan, or the universal ruler. He's going to have certain policies that are going to strengthen the Mongol people. One way that he does that is through the way he organizes the army. He basically takes away loyalty to your. Before, you basically the rulers would be allied with the leaders of a particular tribe, and he didn't trust the tribes. So he wanted to break up the tribal allegiances and make all of the military loyal to him. So he would promote people based on their personal devotion to him, or if they merited it or earned it. So he changed the way they were organized militarily. By the way, most Mongols and Turkish people in general, because of the steppe lands where a lot of grass grows, they're very comfortable on horseback from an early age. So they have what we call exceptional equestrian skills. Equestrian means you're comfortable with horses, so they have excellent cavalry. So read about this in your book. He also makes the capital at Karakoram, which is today near modern-day Ulaanbaatar, which is where Mongolia is. So you can read about that. It tells you how they had a very, very small population, about 1 million people, which is nothing. San Diego's 3.5 million people, but they were able to build the biggest land-based empire on Earth. And it tells you about Mongol arms or weapons, how they were very good with their equestrian skills and they could fire bows while riding on horseback. And they also used psychological warfare, which convinced people to give up right away when they saw the Mongols, because the Mongols would treat artisans, especially and craftspeople that didn't resist, with more leniency. But if you resisted at all, they would, take you and use you as a human shield for their future conflicts. I need to kind of hurry here. So maybe I'll do 2 videos on Genghis Khan. So first he unites the Mongols, and then he is going to attack other places. And I'll do a second video about how he attacks China and then attacks into Afghanistan and Persia.